The following audio recording has been designed for learning purposes only. Do not share, distribute, or provide any type of copies, or this audio lesson will not be made available to you. Good luck with today's lesson.
Okay, so not much more to really talk about. I think it's really kind of short, but just remember that, okay? I will be listening to your speeches. I listen to all your speeches, obviously, but I'm going to be listening for that. Use of alliteration, personification, any similes and metaphors. Though someone did ask me how many metaphors or similes should be used in a speech. Obviously, depending on the length. You're welcome. Your 6-minute speech, I don't know, don't go dropping one in every other sentence. That'd be kind of crazy. But, 2, 3, 4, that would be nice, okay? If you're the creative type, maybe even more. Okay, so persuasive speech, what does it do? Informative speech is just trying to teach us. That's an informative speech. You're just trying to teach us something, okay? Persuasive speech, take it up a notch, okay? Trying to change your minds, trying to change your behavior. One way or the other, your audience is going to walk out that door a little different than the way they were when they came in, right? They're thinking differently, or they're going to be acting differently. That's what your goal is. That's what you want to achieve with your speech, okay? So that's very important. So, I kind of asked this with some trepidation, but I'm pretty sure. How many people here know what their speech is going to be about? They know the topic for the persuasive speech. One? No. I think that sound you heard was my heart breaking. What? Thursday? Yeah. Oh, you guys, it's what, 4 days to work on?
For our Christmas present.
Yes. Oh, how sweet.
No, I can't play around with the syllabus. I flipped around that syllabus so much, it's like a Olympic gymnast when somebody flips. No way. No, that's
What about just for the kids that came here today?
No, I can't do it. No, you guys aren't part of the other classes, so no. Yeah, are you going to ask me to change the date too? Okay, well.
Were the speeches like a set order? Because, when we have to dress up?
Well, you mean on that same day and everything? You mean?
Are all the speeches going to be on the same day?
For my other classes?
No, for this.
Yeah. Well, we're going to try to get through them to that day. Yeah, we're going to try to get from that. Will we? Doubtfully, but we're going to shoot for getting them all on that day. Yeah.
I called going first this time, by the way.
Oh, you go.
He's not going first this time.
Okay, well, we'll fight about that on that day. That's a week from today. We'll fight for that. We'll worry about that on Tuesday. But okay, a couple people have an idea. Yeah.
Do you have like an outline for this speech?
We're going to look at a couple outlines. The only thing that really changes in your outline for this one from your last speech is adding the word exciting. That's really the only change.
So you don't add like a separate section for like the other side of it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you would simply drop that in your outline, in the right other section. But we'll look at the 2 or 3 outlines today, and that'll kind of show you. The only real thing that is different is, you're adding that word excited or bibliography, whatever you want to call it. We'll look at that. Okay? So, persuasive then. I don't know if anyone's ever actually changed their mind or got an idea what they want to give their speech about on what I'm going to talk about now, but maybe. Okay, so let's say you say, you know what, I'm going to give a speech on changing people's minds. Okay. 3 different kinds of speeches, persuasive speeches, if you want to change people's mind. Okay? These are the 3 most popular ones. Okay? Proposition, I'm going to abbreviate here. Proposition, effects. All right? This is if you want to change people's minds. Okay? You want to propose to audience something did or didn't happen. Okay? Is or isn't true or will or won't occur. Okay, an example. Don't use this one. This is like if you're a conspiracy theorist type. The moon landing was fake. There's some people who think it was off stage, took place in a Hollywood movie lot. Okay? You have to prove that. That'd be tough to prove. This one, a few years ago, I was getting a few of these. All right. Increased vaccinations. I'm not sure if I'm spelling that right. Lead to sicker a small population that think that, vaccinations for kids get them sicker. Okay? So what do you have to do? You have to prove these right. All right? You have to prove to the audience that this is the fact. Something is true, it isn't true, it is false, it isn't, it's false rather, it did happen, it didn't happen. It's pretty cut and dry. Proposition of fact. All right? That's what that is. It's pretty easy, pretty obvious here. Okay? This one here, a lot of students tend to stay away from because they don't want to hurt people's feelings. Proposition of value. They don't want to hurt people's feelings. I'm going to cut this down. Something is good or it's bad. Okay? Moral, immoral. So you kind of see here, you kind of take a side. Fair. I think people don't want to do this one because they don't want to hurt feelings. They don't want to hurt, anyone's feelings who might feel differently than them, which is fine. But you're taking away a lot of good subjects here. Okay? So what might some topics be? The Oscars are boring. I think they are. Okay? The Academy Awards are boring. That wouldn't be a very good topic because there's not a lot there. You still have to support that, right? You still have to have those who are excited, but the Oscars are boring. A better one might be forced vaccinations are dangerous. You know what? You're taking one step. Here you're saying, does vaccinations lead to sicker kids? It's simply a matter of fact. It's a statement of fact. Here you're adding a little bit of value. All right? They're dangerous. All right? Well, if they lead to sicker kids, they're probably dangerous, so you can assume that. But here, you're making it clear, no nonsense. They're dangerous. All right? It's a value. Not dangerous. Safe versus dangerous. Here, they're dangerous. You got to make that point, though. You got to make that clear. You got to make that obvious to the audience, right? Best way to do that, research, quotations from famous people, doctors and such researchers. So that's proposition value. Don't let that scare you away, all right? So proposition value. This one's taking on more significance. It might be a little bit more work, but more students are doing it. Proposition of policy, all right? Persuade people that change, that's important, should be made. You're going one step further, all right? You're going one step farther than what you were before. So, the Oscars should be a half hour long. You can tell I don't like the Oscars. Should be a half hour long, all right? Just a line of people. Here's your award, here's your trophy, here's your award, here's your trophy. Okay, good night, everyone. That's it, okay? That's it. Band playing and that's it, we're done, all right? Now, here, I'll put the other one here. Child, trying to keep a theme here. Vaccinations, should be voluntary. Okay, so here I'm making a policy. I'm saying, wait, this is what the government should do. Okay, well, you can't say this without saying why. You really can't. So it's kind of, you have to incorporate this too. Well, okay, kids' vaccinations should be voluntary. Okay, have a choice. Well, that's a pretty drastic move. Why? Well, because they're dangerous. They lead to sicker kids. So this one, if you do this one, you kind of incorporate these here. But a lot more people are doing that. And I kind of alluded to that. If you want to do like, we said like texting and driving is dangerous. Well, everyone knows that. Pretty much everyone. That's one you probably should stay away from. I don't think anyone's going to say, yeah, I do that all the time. A lot of people still do that. We know that. But we all know you shouldn't do it. But if you want to say something like still stick to texting, that's fine. But you might want to do proposition of policy. Fines for texting and driving should be increased, maybe $500 if you're caught, something like that. or you should lose your driver's license for 6 months or something like that. All right, you want to stick to texting, but just saying you shouldn't do it. Well, you know you should do it, so you might want to take this approach. All right, we should do this. All right. What's a popular one now? The government's trying to vaping should be banned, or these flavored vaping or vapors should be banned, or something like that. Okay. Do you understand how these work? Maybe something, a bulb went off, light bulb went off. You think, oh my God, that guy did proposition of policy. I doubt it, but maybe. That's if you want to change people's mind. Okay. Proposition. All right. If you want to change people's behavior. Don't worry, not nearly as many. Not really, there aren't really kinds. But there's a couple of rules you have to remember. If you want to change people's behavior, if you want them to walk out that door, change people, they're going to do something differently. A couple things you want to remember, important things you want to remember. Okay? One, don't hint. Don't assume that you're making your argument so well, so great, so strong, that they figured it out for themselves. You don't have to come right out and tell them what to do. No. All right? There's a famous story of Henry Ford, great automaker. And later on in life, there was an old man sitting in his mansion with a good friend of his who was an insurance salesman. And his insurance salesman friend said to him, we're such good friends, and we're old now, and one thing has always bothered me. You never, ever bought a policy for me. If you bought a policy from me that would have made me much wealthier, would have really helped my career, why didn't you ever buy a policy from me? And Henry Ford simply said, you never asked me. Okay? Don't hint around. Tell the audience what you want them to do. Don't assume, my arguments are pretty clear, they're obvious, all right? Not always, not always. So don't hint, all right? Be obvious. All right? Tell them what you want them to do. Be clear, okay? Second thing, and this is a little tougher depending on what your topic is. Get a response, even a small one. Okay, let's say I'm from XYZ company, okay, and not company, XYZ nonprofit group. That's a terrible name, but I want you guys to donate to me. And I say, okay, you know what you can do to donate, go on our website and make a donation. So I move Bella there. She says, oh my gosh, I've got to make a donation to that group. And she writes down the website and everything on a little scrap piece of paper like we do, and then puts it in her pocket or her purse or something like that, or backpack. But then she leaves class and she has all these errands to run. She goes to Target, she picks up some stuff because everybody goes to Target. And do you have a pet? Okay, she goes to Pet Supply or PetSmart, get some stuff there, and she picks up some dog food or cat food, whatever it is, or bird food. She goes there, and then she drops off some stuff at the post office, and then she goes to work and picks up her paycheck or something like that. And then, I don't know what, she picks up some food at Taco Bell or something. She does all these errands, and she gets home after all these errands. She's really tired, takes a shower, makes something to eat, turns on TV and tells herself, I know there was something I was going to do. There was something I was going to do, but I totally forgot. It must not have been important. And there goes my donation to XYZ nonprofit. Whose fault was that? Mostly, what's that? It was mostly mine, all right? I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit hurts, but mostly mine, because I really didn't make it easy for her, did I? I mean, I told her, here's that, go on our website. But a lot of times, most of the time, we don't do that. We just give a website. And we're so moved. Studies are showing we really aren't that, we really have to be touched to do something like that. So it would have been better if I gave that speech and maybe I had a couple people with some canisters or something there at the door and saying, please give some money on the way out, all right? Rather than buying that latte, extra foam or something at Starbucks today, can you make a donation on the way out or something like that, okay? So my point is, get them to do something, all right? If you're trying to get them to donate blood, don't walk around with a knife in a bucket and say, now, okay? But maybe have a little thing saying, sign in, here, we're making, appointments now. Do it now, all right? You don't have to go home and call up and make an appointment. Do it right now before you leave, okay? Sign this petition right now. You don't have to go online. You don't have to come back and do this. Do it right now. Make it easy for your audience. Get them to do something, anything, all right, while they're there, okay? So get a response, even a small one, okay? Obviously, it depends on what your topic is, but if you can, do it, okay? Okay, types of persuasive speeches. We've talked about some, but I'm going to focus on ones that we really haven't. Problem, solution. That's probably the most obvious one. Be clear though, be careful with this one. If you're doing problem solution, don't just kind of tell us, okay, here's the problem, then go right into the solution. Don't assume that everyone agrees that your problem is shared, that everyone agrees that, oh yeah, that's a problem, definitely. Move on. I'm trying to think of some obvious ones. Climate change, all right, global warming, whatever you call it, all right. Some people think, well, it's not as big of a problem. Some people think, well, it's all made up, all right. So to you it might be, no, it's definitely, okay. But understand, not everyone in your audience might agree with you. So you have to spend some time, I'm not saying half of your speech, but some time proving that there's a problem and showing how it affects the audience, okay? So you're going to spend some time explaining what the problem is. Then you go into your solution, okay? So don't just assume, well, all right, everyone, here's the obvious problem, here's a solution. Well, you're going to lose your audience right from the beginning if they don't think, well, this guy's a crackpot. There's not a problem at all. So I'm not going to listen. So make sure. Similar cause and effect. Okay. This is what's going on. This is the reason why. Kind of similar. Okay. Prove that this is what's going on and this is what's happening because of it. This is one that is kind of becoming more popular. So long. Comparative advantage. What is this? It's kind of a good, better, best. I'm giving a speech on why electric cars are better than gas cars. Well, okay. The Chevy Volt, I think they're still making those, is a good electric car. The Nissan Leaf is a better electric car. The Tesla is the best electric car. Okay? So you're doing kind of like, this is good, this is better, this is best. All right? That's comparative advantage speech. All right? Some people are doing that one. So you know what, though? Then we're going to talk about another one. But let's look at a couple. And then we'll look at the outcomes and see what I mean. And this should work. Good. I tested it out. Guys, right on the board. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay, so besides like the don't say don't smoke and don't say don't text and drive, is that really all that's like?
That's all I can think of. I mean, ask yourself really. I mean, are there? You have to think for yourself. I mean, are there any topics that you think everyone probably knows? I mean, those are the only that come to mind to me. Like, you should recycle. I mean, I think your generation, much more than mine, have all been taught from kindergarten on. You should recycle. You should recycle. My generation, we never heard that until my kids came home from school, and I was told, oh, wow, we should recycle, okay? But you guys from the very beginning, get-go, were told that. So, yeah, everyone knows you should recycle. Do we all recycle? Well, no. But we know we should. Same thing with smoking. Like texting and driving. We know we shouldn't text and drive. Do we all? Well, some people do. So that way, and so if I came up here and said you shouldn't text and drive, you shouldn't smoke, we all know that. But you can still, if that really is important to you, well, take a different route. Shouldn't smoke and you shouldn't smoke. Well, people who smoke should have higher insurance, have to pay higher insurance, or insurance shouldn't cover people. That's pretty radical. Shouldn't cover people who smoke, or something like that. How about cigar smoking? I just had a discussion the other week with a couple of relatives about, does cigar smoking cause cancer? Some people say yes, it does. Some people say no, it doesn't. Okay. Vaping. I've never had a speech on vaping.
Really?
I don't think I ever have. I've had on hookah. I've had hookah, but none on that. But so you've got to be a little creative. Oh, I don't want that one. You got to be a little creative on some of these. And that goes back to, the audience's interest. Are they going to be interested? If you come up here and say, my speech is on, we'll never just say my speech is on, but, if your speech is on something like why you shouldn't text and drive, well, they're not going to pay attention. Come on. I'll have to call my resident expert, Nicole, here. This doesn't work. Come on. There we go. Okay, like we did last time, we looked at that one girl talking about animals and how bad it was. We'll look at this guy. This is pretty bad. And why you should wear bike helmets. All right. This one, this is another one, kind of like in that same category. Everyone knows you should wear bike helmets, do we? Yeah, it ruins the hair and everything like that. So, but here's a bad one. I'll make this clear. Needs improvement. Let me crank this up so you can actually hear.
This speech has weaknesses in both content and delivery.
This one doesn't show the
Can
outline.
you spot all of the mistakes?
But, well, they tell you what the mistakes are, so it's kind of easy.
Today I'm going to persuade you to wear a helmet every time you ride a bicycle.
Yeah, don't start off your speech like that.
So boring. There
Well,
are
it's
85
supposed to
million
be.
bicycle riders in the United States.
This is the bad one.
Over 900 bicyclists die in the United States each year.
Yeah, it's a bad
Bicycle
slide.
crashes and
Too much
injuries
stuff.
are underreported since the majority do not involve emergency room visits. More
But he's dressed
bicyclists
nice.
were killed in urban areas than in rural areas, 61% compared with 36%. A study from Western Australia shows that helmet use has reduced the incidence and severity of head injuries there. This study is based on hospital data and shows that the number of closed head injuries was cut in half with increased helmet use over time. Helmet use in the United States varies by orders of magnitude in different areas and different sectors of the society. While white-collar commuters probably reach 80%, while inner-city kids and rural kids would be 10% or less. 45% of bicycle deaths among children younger than 13 and 26% of adult bicycle deaths occur on minor roads. Adult bicyclists are more likely than children to be killed on major roads, 65% compared with 46%. Bicycle helmets have been shown to reduce the risk of head injury by as much as 85% and the risk of brain injury by as much as 88%. Bicycle helmets have also been shown to offer substantial protection to the forehead and mid-face. Children under age 10 are at greater risk for serious injury and are more likely to suffer head injuries than older riders. Approximately half of all bicycle-related injuries among children under age
No
10
citation
occurs
sources.
in the
Remember I
head
said
and
that.
face,
Say where you got
compared to
information.
1/5
Oral
among older
citations gives you
children.
credibility.
In conclusion, you should always wear a helmet. Questions?
That's pretty bad. Let me go back here. Okay. I'm not going to show the good one. Well, yeah, we'll show the improved one. I thought it was a lot longer. But, okay.
To persuade listeners, a speaker must provide solid evidence from reliable
Okay.
sources. Does this speaker succeed?
But now
in
this shows the
explaining
outline
this?
next to it. So look at the outline. He's still dressed okay. Nice button shirt.
A few weeks ago, I asked you in a questionnaire, what is the most dangerous sporting activity in the United States? The top answers that you gave me were boxing, mountain climbing, and skydiving. But the correct answer is none of the above. The most dangerous sporting activity is riding a bicycle. Each year, over 900 Americans die from bike-related injuries. According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission,
Oral
over
citation.
half of the
That's
victims
nice.
are children under the age of 15. I want to discuss the extent of the problem and then show you a simple solution, which would be to require all bicyclists to wear helmets. Now, some of you might say, well, I don't ride a bicycle, and I'm not a parent, so this issue doesn't really apply to me.
All right, now there's bringing up the other side.
Yes, it does. Whether or not you ever become a parent, you will always have children in your life. Nieces, nephews, and kids in your neighborhood. I think all of us want to protect the children in our communities. Let's take a closer look at the problem. The number of deaths and injuries is very high. I've already mentioned the figure of 900 deaths per year. In addition, the Bicycle Helmet Safety Institute says that each year close to 550,000 bicyclists visit emergency rooms with serious injuries. Some of these injuries involve massive brain damage. there are two misconceptions about bicycling that we need to clear up. The first misconception is that a careful, skilled bicyclist doesn't need a helmet. However, even the best cyclists, including professional racers, are vulnerable. Not long ago, you may have seen this in the news. Pro cyclist dies after falling from bike. Andrei Kivilev of Kazakhstan would be alive if he had worn his helmet. Early in the race, Kivilev had been wearing his helmet, but he removed it to cool off a bit. He paid with his life. Another top bicycle racer, Fabio Casartelli of Italy, died during the 1995 Tour de France. He was wearing a cloth cap when he fell, and his head hit the pavement. The second misconception is that a casual ride in one's neighborhood does not require a helmet. But consider this. A few years ago in Naples, Florida, a businessman named Bo Thomas was riding his bicycle near the entrance road for a condominium development. He was cycling at a slow speed when he collided with a car that was leaving the condominium entrance. The car was going only 5 miles per hour. Thomas was thrown from his bike and his head struck the pavement. He died from massive brain trauma. He had not been wearing a helmet. The state trooper who investigated, Bob Brown, described the accident as a very low-speed impact. Trooper Brown said that if Thomas had been wearing a helmet, quote, he probably would have stood up and brushed himself off. As you can see, even a minor accident can be deadly. Bicycle riders, especially children, can travel at slow speeds in their neighborhoods and still be vulnerable. Now that we have seen how serious the problem is, let's look at the solution, which is
obviously
very
problem
simple.
solution speech.
Every bicycle rider should be required by law to wear a helmet at all times. The government agency that monitors the health and safety of Americans is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC says that if every person who rides a bicycle would wear a helmet, we could prevent 500 deaths and 150,000 head injuries per year. I'm not saying that helmets will prevent all deaths and injuries, but they will prevent most of them, especially when you consider that the Bicycle Helmet Safety Institute says that 2/3 of cycling deaths result from brain injuries. Now, some parents say, my child rides a bike only on a driveway. She doesn't need a helmet, does she? Well, I put this question to Dr. David Bate, director of the emergency room at St. Joseph's Hospital. And he said that a child can fall from her bicycle and be injured just by impact with a driveway surface or a rock or a toy or another object. He also pointed out that requiring her to wear a helmet at all times would help instill a lifetime habit, one that will be important as she grows up. A good helmet costs less than $25. Just make sure that the helmet fits properly. I recommend buying from a bicycle shop because the staff can help you get the proper size and fit. You may pay a few more dollars, but it's worth it. Some states and communities have laws requiring bicycle riders to wear helmets. We need to persuade our legislators to expand the requirement to all states and all communities. And we also need to campaign for enforcement. The Bicycle Helmet Safety Institute says that even in areas that require helmets, fewer than 20% of children under the age of 15 wear them when cycling. So once laws are on the books, we need to insist that they be vigorously enforced. Also, all of us need to become advocates for bicycle helmets. I have a booklet that you can take with you at the end of this speech and use to educate your relatives, friends, and neighbors. If you see children riding a bike without a helmet in your neighborhood, you can talk to their parents. I'm not urging you to become a pest who meddles in the lives of others. All I'm asking is that you help save a child's life. Let's review. We have seen that bicycle riding is the most dangerous sporting activity in the United States, with over 900 deaths and over 550,000 serious injuries each year. The solution is simple. We must require helmets for all bicycle riders, and then we must enforce the laws. In addition, all of us should become advocates in our communities, educating riders and parents. Please do this for all riders, but especially for the children. Jane Brody, a health columnist for the New York Times, wrote about this problem. I would like to close by showing you the headline above her article. Save a child's brain. Require a helmet. Thank you.
That's a weird headline. Okay. Now let's look at the outline. Now again, that's a good example of, at the top where you should use a helmet when you ride your bike. Everyone knows that. Do they? No. But how he approaches that, it's kind of like how you might do texting, all right, and driving. He's saying, well, if you don't wear a helmet, it should be worn forced. Okay. Make
How
this.
long was that speech?
That was 8 minutes.
Yeah, that was painful.
Yours is going to be 6 minutes now. Okay.
I've never met somebody more passionate about bicycles.
Well, exactly. I was saying, he does seem awfully, passionate about it. But that's good. You got to fake enthusiasm sometimes.
He wasn't enthusiastic though. He was monotone and just.
It was
really...
weird. It was like he was super enthusiastic while still being so monotone.
You guys are cruel.
Just pick a topic that you're actually interested in.
Well, all right. Well, that's what I expect you guys to do. Find something you're very interested in. Okay, but let's look at his outline. Let's see if you're a little bit nicer to his outline. Okay, so there's a topic, general. Ow, there's a mistake. I never noticed that. That should be to persuade. That should not be to inform. It should be to persuade. So, yeah, yours should say general purpose to persuade. To persuade my audience that all bicyclists should wear helmets. To avoid death or injury, all bicyclists should be required to wear helmets. So, you guys know this now. That should be to persuade, to specific purpose like this, central idea, complete sentence. So now, this is all the same, okay? Introduction broken down to 2 parts. The first part, whatever you're saying to get our attention. He did a little survey and he tells us the results of it. Is orienting material or preview. What's he going to talk about? We're going to look at the extent of the problem. We're going to look at the solution. So we're going to look at the problem. We're going to look at the solution. Pretty cut and dry, okay? Transition. Let's look at the problem. If you're doing problem solution, that's what the transition's obviously going to be. Let's look at the problem. Next one, let's look at the solution. So let's examine the problem in detail. That's what he does. All of his body here is just main points and supporting material. It's just boom, boom. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. And going into detail about what the problem is. Okay, transition. Let's turn from the problem to a simple solution. And he talks about this is what the solution should be. And he's got these wonderful oral citations throughout from doctors, from these companies, organizations. Really strong. Okay, maybe he doesn't present it in the right way, but he's got some good things backing him up. That doesn't change, just like you guys did for your other speech, okay? Here's the only change. Transition. Let's review what we've discussed. His conclusion, 2 parts, summary. He tells us everything he covered, all right? And then his clincher, he says this headline. Okay, the only thing that you're going to include, okay? You can call it bibliography. You can call it works cited. And he's got 5, which is how many you can have more than 5, obviously, all right? But this is how you should do it. You should have it following the MLA format, just like this, okay? And I might give you the handout today just so you can start using it if you're going to be doing research between now and Thursday. But this is the only real change, okay? You're going to be having a bibliography or works cited, okay? Any questions on this? We're going to talk about another kind of format in a second. Any? No? Okay.
Oh, are we, in the first one, he asked if there was questions after the speech. Are we going to do that?
I'm thinking we might, because we have a kind of small class, So I'm thinking we might have some questions. So be prepared to have time for at least 2 questions. And maybe I'll ask a question. Very often I'll be the one asking a question. And I'm not going to, I mean, I wouldn't worry. I'm not going to like put you on the spot and have you like sweating like, oh my God. You know, like I'm not going to grill you or anything like that, anything. But just be prepared. That's why I always make sure you know a little bit about the other side, okay? But don't worry about that. You know, if I ask a question, it's going to be just mostly about the topic, not the other side. There's one thing I want you to remember, all right? And this will be on the final, okay? Because the book makes a big deal about this topic, about this way. So problem solution, cause effect, comparative advantages, those are different kinds of persuasive speeches. Now there's one that your book does really emphasize. We used to make it a requirement. We used to make it that every student had to follow this one format. I don't make you do this. I think some couple teachers still do. You don't have to do this format. It's probably still the strongest way to give a persuasive speech. It probably still is. And all he does is he kind of adds a step that we don't talk about when we do your informative speeches. But basically, 110 years ago, there was a speech teacher, a college professor, who came up with this way of giving a persuasive speech. His name was Monroe, Indiana. And his whole approach was, if you're going to give a speech trying to persuade people, you should really approach it the same way if you were trying to convince a friend or a couple friends to get them to do something. It's the same principle. It's the same thing, only more people. So he took it that way, all right? If I was trying to convince Brendan to do something, how would I do that? And then simply take it on a much larger scale, all right? So this is how he did it, all right? And again, the steps aren't all that different than how we do it now, okay? First step, the attention step, okay? The attention step, all right? So what do you do here? Well, you get our attention. So we do that now, right? We're doing that now. And then you state the topic. You give the preview. We do that now. That's not change. That's not change in your introduction. Same thing. All right, the attention step. Second step. All right? The need step. The need step, okay? You urge change and you state the need. All right? So you pretty much tell the audience, this is why you need this. This is why you need this, okay? Remember we talked about last week, if you're giving a speech to an audience that doesn't really care about what you're talking about, tell them this is why you should care. This is how it affects you. So this is what Monroe's saying you do in a persuasive speech, talking to anyone. All right. Why should you care? What's the need step? Why you should care about what I'm talking about. This is why it's going to affect you. This is how it's going to affect you. This is big news. This is something that you have to worry about. Okay. So the need step. Well, the third step then is the satisfaction step. That's a C. Satisfaction step. Okay? Present the solution. Present the solution. All right? So, I said this is the problem. Here's how it's affecting you. Why you should be concerned. Now, here's what we should do about it. Here's the saving grace. This is going to help you. This is what I'm proposing to you. All right? Now, this next step, the fourth step, this is the one that's unique. This is the one that Monroe was a genius for, why he's remembered, okay? And think about it. When you're trying to convince someone of something, it kind of makes sense. Visualization step, right? Proof. Because Monroe pretty much said we're all kind of doubting Thomases, all right? Show me the proof. Show me the proof. If I'm saying to you, we should go to the Florida Keys for vacation because it's a better deal rather than, Bermuda or something like that. If I'm trying to convince Andrew that, because it's a much better deal, we'll save money. Natural response would be, prove it. right? I mean, I need proof. Well, okay, well look, these hotels are comparable to Bermuda, but they charge this much. These restaurants are comparable, but they only charge this much. I want proof. I want proof, right? You gotta prove it to me. Otherwise, why should I believe you? All right? So you have to prove it to me. Now, Monroe says you can do it 2 different ways. All right? You can prove it 2 different ways. You can paint a positive picture. Paint a positive picture. By that he means, okay, you give an example of using your solution, and it works out perfect. Okay? So let's say, for example, your speech is on why there should be year-round school. All right, year-round school, no summer breaks. And so that's your proposal. And now you have proof. So you say, okay, well, you know what? The Kalamazoo school district had the same problem as this school district. You know, falling graduation rates, high truancy, low grade point averages. It was really a mess. Then they brought in all year school, all year round school. No summer break. My gosh, everything changed. Grade point averages shot up 1.4 points. Truancy was no more a problem. College, you know, graduation rates went out the window. Okay? It just improves so much. All right. So you show this group, this company, this group, this state, this city, this whatever. These people did what I suggested, and it was a positive thing. It really made an improvement in their life. Show positive. Okay. So that's what's usually used. Or he said you can paint a negative picture. Okay? Not used as often. All right? Well, you know what? The school district of Grand Rapids continued to do what you guys are doing, and it only got worse. It got worse and worse and worse. Truancy rate continued and it got worse. Grade point average actually went down. Graduation rates went down. And that's what's going to happen here in Kalamazoo if we don't make a difference, if we don't change. Okay? So, you can paint a positive picture, paint a negative picture, or he says you can do a combo. Okay? You can do a combo. Paint positive and negative. Okay? But this is the step that's important. Visualization. The proving stage. The proof. All right. You know, you don't have to take my word for it. Look at this. And then there's the last stage, actualization, which it's just the same thing you guys do. All right? Review. Restate the main points, restate the central idea, and then the strong ending. That doesn't change. Okay? So let's look at one. And again, you know, you're not required, I'm not going to require you to do the speech. We used to. This is probably still the strongest way to give a persuasive speech just because of this. Because again, Monroe said, and it's probably true, most people are just, you know, we don't trust. We have to have proof. Okay. Let's look at, let's look at this one. Okay. And she's got this motivated sequence. I'll write that
In
down.
this speech, the speaker uses an organizational pattern called the motivated sequence. There are 5 steps in the sequence: attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. See if you can
Actualization.
spot each of the steps.
Could you use an extra $350 every year? Well, $350 is the amount that the Federal Trade Commission estimates that each adult consumer loses due to mistakes made by stores. These mistakes occur at checkout counters at grocery stores, drugstores, and a variety of other retail establishments. Most stores use scanners to scan barcodes, and if the scanned price is more than the posted price in the store, then the consumer is overcharged. Claudia Farrell of the FTC gives some examples.
Another
Recently
good oral
at
citation.
an office supply store in Florida, a consumer bought a surge protector. She paid $53.99. Well, the advertised price was $17.99. That's a $36 overcharge. At an auto parts store in Seattle, A customer bought a set of wrenches and overpaid by $20. At a grocery store in Michigan, a man bought a bottle of wine and was overcharged $4. Can we put a stop to these overcharges? Yes. Today I urge you to help put a stop to these overcharges and report violations. Let's take a look at why we need to take action.
Okay, need step.
Overcharging is frequent. It happens every day in the United States. According to the New York Times, Americans lose an estimated $1 billion to $2.5 billion every year due to errors in scanner pricing. The Chicago Sun-Times reports that Chicago's Department of Consumer Services did an investigation and found that 78% of the drugstores in the city overcharged customers with price scanning errors. The Associated Press reports that in a recent one-year period, the Arizona Department of Weights and Measures investigated 1,335 cases, and in 1/4 of the cases, the scanned prices were higher than those posted in the stores. Steve Meissner, a spokesperson for the Arizona agency, said that the problem doesn't lie with the technology of the scanners. If there's a mistake, don't blame the scanners. Blame the database. The employees of the store are supposed to keep the database up to date with correct prices. But if the prices are incorrect in the database, then there will be mistakes at the checkout counter. Now, what should you do about this problem? You should report the stores that overcharge you. Some people think that you should just ask for a refund. You should get a refund, of course. But you should also go one step further. You should file a complaint. If you go to this website, consumeraction.gov,
Okay, obviously this is satisfaction, what you should
local
do.
and state agencies. You can send them an email or make a phone call. And if an agency gets a lot of complaints about a particular store, they can investigate and issue a fine. Let's take a look at some examples of agencies in action. The Arizona Department of Weights and Measures assessed penalties totaling $100,000 to stores in a 12-month period. According to the Progressive Grocer magazine, authorities in Wisconsin fined the Roundy's supermarkets $44,000 for checkout scanner violations in the state. And in California, the nation's second largest grocery store chain, Albertsons, was slapped with a fine of $1.85 million for scanner overcharges in the California stores. When businesses are assessed a fine, it's often a wake-up call that prompts them to clean up their act. Kathleen Thuner, a commissioner for San Diego County, California, recently assessed a fine of $540,000 against a sports equipment chain for repeated violations. The fine cost the company to take immediate steps to correct the scanning procedures. Thuner gives credit to citizens who complain. She says her office relies heavily on consumers, and she urges every consumer to report overcharges. Let's look at the details of a particular case.
All right, here's the visualization
It will let
step.
you visualize how taking action can bring rewards for you and your fellow consumers. According to the Los Angeles Daily News, 3 years ago, LA County started a scanner overcharge reduction program. And throughout the program, they noticed a lot of complaints coming about a Home Depot store in Lancaster. So they sent in an undercover inspector who purchased a 3-gallon bug sprayer. They charged him $34.97 for it. Well, the advertised price was $12.15. That's almost 3 times the advertised price. They issued a fine of $4,000, and they also made them put signs in their windows admitting that they were caught overcharging customers. The fine and the embarrassing signs made the store change their procedures. LA County officials said that in the first 3 years of the program, 1,500 stores were fined. This caused an immediate decline in the number of overcharge cases, and the consumers saved an estimated tens of millions of dollars a year. When companies clean up their act, we consumers no longer lose money. So, I urge you to all take action. Look closely at your receipts and take note if you've been overcharged. report the overcharge immediately to a local or state consumer protection agency. Now let's review what we've covered.
All right, actualization.
Overcharging because of price scanning errors is widespread throughout the U.S. When citizens report the overcharges, they encourage government agencies to investigate, and then they can issue a fine. If the stores are fined, then this is a wake-up call, and the stores change their act. Ultimately, you, the consumer, will benefit by not being overcharged in the future. At the beginning of my speech, I asked if you could use an extra $350. Well, next time you're overcharged, think of that $350 and issue a complaint.
Okay.
Are there any questions or comments?
Nope. Like, no, it's a store that was in Michigan that was charging $4 more for a bottle of wine. Okay.
She reminds me of Paris from the Gilmore Girls.
I don't remember her. But
What?
she could be. Maybe she gave a speech.
It's
Maybe.
not the same, it's not the
Maybe
actual-
that's maybe she started out taking a speech class.
Don't have the Gilmore Girls, bro.
Maybe. Okay. So, that's to persuade. This one says to persuade, so that's good. Persuade my listeners to report the stores overcharge. All consumers will benefit if individuals report stores that overcharge and scan items. So, her introduction, could you use an extra $350 a year? That's good. Good introduction. She talks about it. And this is her attention step. It's just like you would do. Getting our attention, and then here's the preview. I'm going to talk about what the overcharges are and what you can do to help yourself and stop it. Transition, let's discuss why you need to take the action. So here's our need step. Talking about why it's overcharging is widespread. This is the problem. It's costing Americans so much money. So many stores are doing it. So now what can you do about the problem? So here's the satisfaction step, the solution step. You can do something that helps solves it, okay? She talks about that. Transition, let's look at one case. So now she's saying, okay, here's the solutions or visualization step. Here's an example where what I suggest you do actually happened, actually took some place, and how it worked to everyone's benefit. She talks about this Home Depot in Los Angeles County, how great it was, okay? Transition, let's review. Here's her conclusion or actualization, okay? Just like you guys would do it, here's the review or the summary, and then the clincher, okay? And then bibliography would be the same. She's got a few more here, okay? Any questions? One thing that, let's see, does this one do it? We never talked about this, I don't think, where some people have said, like in the outlines, and definitely in the notes, they'll include like a little reference to their oral citation to where they got the information. That's not a bad idea, so you'll remember. I mean, I've had some students say while they're up here, they're slightly nervous, and they'll completely forget to give the oral citation where they got the information. This is not the speech where you want to forget where you got the information, okay? I will be paying strict attention for where you got the information, all right? More than any other speech, this is important. Tell us where you got the information, okay? And it's got to be a credible source. It's got to be a credible source, all right? So, but this is a good speech. This one's 7 minutes long, okay? But it follows this pattern that Monroe did, all right, very, very well. Sometimes it goes the other way. I got a pair of $200 shoes for only a penny one time because they ranked the scan was wrong.
Good luck with today's lesson.